Good morning. And welcome to the final episode of Breakfast with Bev. It's been a whole month now. I said it was going to be to the end of October is when I would run it. It's a 1 month experiment, and it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I did it. Today I have the Breakfast with Bev special. Screwed up plate of fried eggs. I was trying to flip them and it kind of slid off the spatula, fell over on itself, but it wouldn't be classic Breakfast with Bev if I didn't screw up the fried eggs a little bit. And of course we have the hot chocolate in the Alamo mug. I like how over time there's kind of become like a little set for Breakfast with Bev. Like we started with just the pumpkin, and then there was the pumpkin and the Harbor Freight bucket, very identifiable, two very bright objects in the frame, and then we got the filing cabinet and the grill and the office chair, and it's like slowly it's built out into like it's not intentional, this is just what our porch is, but I don't know, I like how like recognizable it is. Today I've got George chilling with me again. He wanted to be here for the last episode. It's very interesting because it's only been a month really, but it feels like daily journaling has helped it feel a lot slower, you know? It's like I can look back at a month ago and see through these videos like how many things have happened just in me talking about and journaling out like what's happened. And so I think it has a lot of the same benefits as like literally doing a written journal. It's just in video form, you know? And it's also helped me, even to some degree, just shooting something every day has helped me like become more familiar with all of my camera's settings, become more familiar with some of the lenses that I have, and even more familiar with like how to set up like in different lighting conditions outside, and color grading has been huge. Like I didn't really know a lot about color grading until this series. You know, the first episode looks very different from the current episodes, and it's only been a month. That's the crazy thing. Like I remember September and August, they felt like they flew by really quick, because we're always like on the first day of August I'm like, man, it's August already, that's weird. And then all of a sudden it's like August 26th and you're like, where did the month go? But October has felt a bit longer, you know? Like, in some sense it's shorter, but in some sense, like, being able to look back on these daily journal entries is effectively what they are. It's a really good thing. And it's also, I really like the public aspect of it, actually, versus a private journal. I mean, there's always a space for a private journal, but the public aspect, like, I initially was sort of doing this for myself, and I was like, yeah, I'll put it out there just for accountability, but ultimately this is just for me. But it's actually been like a really sick thing. Like so many little conversations have come up just around like things that I've talked about in Breakfast with Bev episodes, you know? It's like there's a solid, like, all of my close friends watch every episode, not ever because I like tell them to or expect them to. It's literally just like, it's a good way to keep up with your friends. Like, unironically, I think more people should do this in some form, because it's just like, it's like social media, but YouTube feels like very apart from everything else, and it's just like, it's similar to social media except so much more genuine in this minimal cuts format where you're just talking about, you know, what you've been up to or how you're feeling. And so it's a super dope format. I don't think I'm gonna leave it behind in any sense, but it's definitely gonna change, and I won't do it daily anymore. But yeah, it's been awesome. I bet the audio's worse than normal because all the cars are driving up and down the road with rain, so they're kind of making a lot of noise. since updates on the hospital demolition have been prominent through the month, I'll give one last update. I can still see it over the trees, but only because the leaves are starting to fall. So I think if all the leaves were there like they were a month ago, I wouldn't be able to see the hospital. The whole front face of the building is knocked off. It's like that footage I showed in a previous episode, except instead of that little corridor, it's like the whole front face of the building is just torn up. There they go. You can hear more sounds. Still knocking it down right now. Every time I see a black Kia Soul driving up and down this street, I think it's Jacob. Because one time he did drive past and waved at me, or he honked at me, I waved at him. But that was not Jacob. It was a black Kia Soul that had a MILF sticker, bumper sticker on the back. It was like an older middle-aged dude. I wonder why he had that. Maybe it's his wife's car. Another interesting insight from Breakfast with Bev is that this month I was able to like capture day to day, like one of the worst burnouts that I've had recently. Like I probably haven't been that burned out in like a year or two, which I guess I didn't entirely explain or let on fully in the videos because I don't want the videos to be like super long. But around I think it was like the 14th, 15th, like right around there is kind of when it peaked, when I'm like taking the late night walks and not doing them in the morning anymore. And like, it wasn't this that burned me out. Really, this is so like low fidelity, easy that there's very little to no pressure making a Breakfast with Bev at all. It was just, everything else. And I thought it was interesting that I was kind of able to capture throughout this month. To some degree, I've been burned out for like 2 months, but in a shorter term sense, the series starts on just a morning that I'm up early, I'm feeling really good, and I'm feeling productive. And I just started the series on a whim. And I just ride that for a couple weeks, and then around the middle of the month, I get really overwhelmed with work and with all the scheduling and everything I'm committed to, and it takes a big downturn. And then like I kind of sort of slowly, that next couple episodes I'm talking about like routine, habit building, and I'm like slowly building back everything that kind of fell apart in my burnout. And now the series is ending again with at the end of the month with me feeling pretty good in a good routine. It's a Monday, starting the week. I'm trying to be better about like having work in its place, letting it not eat my brain away as much. I'm going to try to just do 6 to 8 hours every weekday, just like a normal, 9 to 5 job. And weekends, I'm going to try to just cut it off, not be working. Because then I think, especially in such a free-form job like I have, it can be overwhelming trying to think every day about like how much work is fair for me to be doing. Am I getting used? Like I don't want to be working too much, but I don't want to be working too little. What's really expected of me? And so what really I think will help is just cutting out all of that like weird like uncertainty and just focusing on, I'm going to put in my 8 hours today and then I'm going to chill. And I think that's a more healthy way to approach it. It's a Monday, I'm starting fresh, starting new, and feeling good about everything. Since it is the final episode and I've been putting it off for 2 days, I should tell you the story of the apartment, because that's also got me feeling good. Is just that signing a lease is off my chest. I don't have to worry about that for the next couple months, because I'm trying to move in around the end of the year is the idea. And so it was kind of going to be like I would be off and on looking for the next 2 months, because some stuff they want you to move in right away, some stuff they want you to move in later. So I'd have to be looking all through the next 2 months, through the holidays and everything. And that was just going to be super annoying. And so I'm so relieved and so glad that I finally got a place locked down, you know? There's a Jimmy John's Miata. I see him around every once in a while. Or no, it's a Domino's Miata. There's 2 food delivery Miatas, because the Domino's Miata is blue. The Jimmy John's Miata is a soft top and it's silver. I'm gonna cut the video just in case it stops recording. I've got PTSD since that one episode that I had to reshoot 2 times. Like it stopped recording, or something went wrong with the recording twice, and so the 3rd time I did it that day was the one that was used. So around 2 or 3 months ago, I'm first looking at getting apartments, right? That's when I first landed this job out in Cleveland, and I thought it was more of a big deal to move immediately. Like, we were kind of in a rush. I wanted to get out there, but in working the job for a bit, we kind of figured out a way to make it work remotely, and it's not as much of a rush now, so I'm looking to move in around the end of the year is the idea. So I haven't been looking as much as I was. 2 or 3 months ago, I was looking a lot, and at that point, I found this cool-looking apartment, and I'm looking for weird stuff, you know, non-standard floor plan. So like a normal 1-bed, 1-bath in my price range is just going to be, you know, just normal, a small bathroom, a small bedroom, a small kitchen, a small living room, all of these separate rooms. And I am more interested in something that's a little wacky, where like more of the square footage is just in one open space, so I can kind of set up my big studio and have less, you know, divided up small places. Because what am I going to do with 3 little rooms, you know? I'd much rather have just one larger area. So I'm looking for these non-standard kind of weird stuff. I'm looking at a lot of renovated old like industrial buildings. Like, there's this district on the west side of Cleveland that's got a lot of old like factories and stuff that they renovated. They're super cool. Just like, you get the old glass windows, you get the like super high ceilings with like exposed vents and ducts and everything up there, and it's like you get all these weird floor plans. It's sick. And so I'm kind of looking at stuff like that. But in that area, it's sort of close to downtown. All these factories are like renovated super nicely. It's like $1,100 at the low end to like sky's the limit, but you know, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 for even just like a 1-bed, 1-bath. And so I'm like, nah, that's too much. I can't do that right now, especially because I'm still paying here. And so I was looking for something like that, but the bulk of them are just like that. And so I found this other weird spot. It's a renovated tech school from like the 1910s, and it's a little more out of the way. It's probably like a 20-minute walk. It's a couple miles south, not too far, but you know, more significant walking distance if I want to walk downtown. But it's cool. It's really cool. So it's this old renovated tech school, super high ceilings, like the same industrial build. It's got a very open floor plan where it's like, it's just a bedroom and then one open space that has like the kitchen in the corner, and you know, it's all open, giant bay windows, all that cool industrial looking stuff. And because it's more out of the way, and you know, it's a little less nice, it's like older appliances, you know, it's carpet, like a cheaper carpet instead of a nice hardwood. And so yeah, it's a bit cheaper. It's in a slightly worse area, and so it's a lot cheaper. It was $760 for the 1-bed, 1-bath that I'm looking at. As a, like, that's literally half of what some of these other similar floor plans are like. So I'm like, okay, this is sick. I'm gonna call them, see what's up. It says it's available online. I call them, they say no, it's reserved. And so I'm thinking they're kind of running a little, you know, they're trying to deceive people by putting it available online so that their apartment pops up to more people, but then really it's not available, and they try to fish you into one of the better floor plans. So I'm bummed about that. I'm feeling like I'm just gonna have to settle for one of these, like a more normal, you know, smaller room layouts. But just recently, last week, right before I left for Cleveland, I'm like, maybe I'll try to schedule a tour while I'm in town. So the day before I left for Cleveland, I'm checking all these listings again, trying to see if anything new, interesting has popped up. And I see this place again. It still says it's available online. I'm like, it's so cool. I'll give it another shot. So I call them again, and this time they say it's available. So I guess whoever had it before, reserved, backed out. And so now it's available. And I'm like, okay, sick. and I'm trying to rush in and get this thing as soon as possible so that, it doesn't get swiped out from under me. And so I schedule a tour for like 2 days from then. I put in an application the next day, and so just so everything's ready, so if I like it, I can just commit, I don't want to have like the apartment hunt hanging over my head for like the next 2 months before I move out. And so I'm like, yeah, this would be perfect. I'm ready to sign on it if it's not terrible. And so I have a tour scheduled. The day of the tour, I'm like, yeah, I should look up like some reviews, try to figure out what's up with the place, like see if there's anything I need to grill them on, I look up the reviews and they have some terrible reviews. They're talking about just how dirty the apartment is, how terrible the tenants are, the area is horrible, and there's like shootings and like people breaking into cars, and I'm like, okay. I'm trying to figure out how like real this all is, or if it's just like kind of people making a bigger deal about stuff, because it's like, yeah, I'm gonna deal with some like grungier stuff getting a cool apartment floor plan for $760, I'm gonna have to deal with a little bit of dirtiness, a little bit of like things going on the streets, and so it's like, yeah, that's fine to some degree, but I don't want to sign up for something that's going to be like really terrible if my car's actually going to get broken into on the street all the time and all this stuff. So now I'm like a little more wary about it. I'm like, I'm going to have to ask him some questions when I tour. And so I look into the reviews a bit more, and it seems like, so a lot of people are complaining about changes in management all the time, bad management, but since like all these bad reviews are 2019 and previous, and since then it's been better, like there's been nicer reviews. And so I'm thinking maybe they had a recent change in management and it's coming up. So I go to the place to check it out. I show up. Parking is terrible. The street parking is all bad, but they have a gated, like locked up lot that I could sign up for, so that's good. I pull in, find parking, and I start walking up, and they're tearing up the sidewalks. They're like doing a bunch of renovation. I'm like, that's a good sign. They're putting money into the place. It's getting better. And now I'm a little less worried. I'm like, okay, maybe I was right. Maybe they are putting a little money back in, things are improving. And as it turns out, that was totally the case. I went in, got to talk to like the two top dogs of management. Like I didn't tour with an underling. I toured with like, I got to meet like the people who are actually running the place, and that's something I always appreciate. And the place was clean. The place was awesome. They're like putting in a bunch of new stuff, renovating it. Like they have some like courtyard areas that they just redid. Like they astroturfed it all out. They put like grills out there. Like it's super cool. The suites themselves are still, old. Like the dishwasher is literally just like, it's one of those old white plastic things that like literally the only controls on it are a switch and a knob. That's the whole dishwasher. And so it's like, old stuff, but I like that better because that means I'm not paying for granite countertops and crap. So it's fine. And so now I'm getting excited again. I'm like, ooh, okay. This might be a major hidden gem, but I still don't know. Like, it seems like the property managers are like being truthful with me. Like they're kind of letting on some things. Like these are the things that aren't as good. These are the things that are good. And so I'm like, yeah, it seems like they're being honest with me, but I don't know for sure. So after the tour, I go out and just walk around the area a bit, and I try to talk to somebody. I found this dude walking his dog who seemed cool, so I talked to him about what the place is like, because the tenants have no incentive to actually like try to sell me on the place or whatever. So I talked to this dude, and he says he kind of agrees with it. Like they've been putting a lot of money in since the change in management. He thinks it's quite a hidden gem, and he hasn't had any problems with maintenance or anything. So I'm feeling really good about the place. I walk around. It's kind of like next to a highway that they have a big one of those walk bridges over. And so the area it's in is sort of suburban. So there's not a lot of stuff to walk to directly next to it, but you walk basically one block over this bridge and you're on like a main street with like bars and restaurants and all that stuff. So it actually is really like within 10 minutes, you got all sorts of stuff you can walk to. So yeah, it's awesome. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. But I haven't seen the actual suite that I would be in yet. They don't, the way they run it there, they don't run tours through, you know, if a tenant's still there, they're not going to run a tour through it, which I appreciate because we get tenants, we get people touring through here all the time, which is kind of annoying. So like, I get that, I appreciate that, but I'm a little wary on signing sight unseen. So they show me a similar layout. They have a vacant 2-bed, 1-bath that's basically the same layout, but there's just an extra room on the side. And so I looked at that. It's awesome. I'm getting like a feel for the what the place is like. I saw that Jimmy John's Miata just a minute ago, and now he's coming back again. I guess he's going back and forth doing a bunch of deliveries. There's the Jimmy John's Miata in town, and there's a Domino's Miata. They're different Miatas. But I mean, if you're a car guy, delivery job seems like a hell of a gig. You just get to zoom around all day. But anyway, so I'm feeling good. I'm ready to sign, but I'm wary on signing without seeing the place. What they do, this is awesome, is so part of my application fee was I put in $100 hold fee, and as long as I've got that in, I can just hold it and I don't have to sign the lease. So how they do it is, once this guy moves out in December, I get to tour it, make sure that I like it, and then I sign the lease. So I'm not stuck signing anything that I haven't seen yet, which is, super. That's a lot more relaxing than having to sign on something and wait 2 months not knowing what it is like. So, it's a good situation. The only thing is, they ran a credit check on me, which I thought was going to go bad because I don't have much of a credit history, but it went fine. I got accepted. The one thing that would have failed me is employment history, because I've only been at the new gig for 4 months, and before that I was only at Harbor Freight for 6 months. So I just don't have like a super robust employment history of like long-term employment, and so they wanted a co-signer, which is, it's fine. It feels like a cheat code. Like, I want to be independent and like not have my dad sign on something, but like if I don't have the credit history, I don't have the credit history, so this is what I got to do. But then for that, they wanted him to pay like this administrative fee again, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. It makes sense to pay the $40 application fee again, because they got to run the credit check on him and all that. But there was another fee. There was like a $100 administration fee that they wanted him to pay again. And I'm like, I don't want to pay $140 twice. So I kind of tried to like haggle him on it and really press him on like, okay, why is this getting charged twice? He's not a tenant, he's a co-signer. And so I press him enough, and they waived that extra fee, which feels really good. Like, turns out you can haggle with your property managers and save $100. That's cool. So that's basically where we're at now. I'm excited to see it when they move out, but I've seen basically close enough, basically the same floor plan. I walked around the area. The area is pretty cool. Like, I'm super excited for it. It's awesome. The floor plan is basically like this giant, like 15 by 16, like big area where it's just all open, and then it's like carpeted, and then it transitions to tile where there's like this kitchen in the corner. And so it's this huge open space, and the one wall, just the entire wall is window from like maybe here, like from maybe like 3 feet up to the ceiling. And it's like a 12-foot ceiling. So it's like giant window just on one side, but a bunch of natural light. And then you walk back from the window, and there's the bedroom back there that's like up a set of like just like 4 stairs. Like, it's up like 2 feet. The floor of the bedroom is higher, and there's this like cutout in the wall for the bedroom, so you can actually see up from the bedroom down into the main studio floor plan. and you get a bunch of natural light in from that window through that hole into the bedroom. So even though the bedroom doesn't face any exterior walls, you're still getting natural light through that cutout just because the window is so big. And so it's like, it's super awesome. And yeah, I'm so psyched for it. And the timing works out perfect because like I wanted to get something signed so it's out of my head, but I don't want to move in too quick because like I would like to move in around the end of the year so that I can, you know, save up a couple months more of savings and then move in later once I'm a little more stable. And so this was perfect because I've got it now, but the tenant, I think their lease officially ends on December 11th. And so then they do like a 10-day cleaning like period where it's just between tenants. And so December 21st is my earliest move-in date. And I can hold it for a little bit after that too. So I'll probably, just to keep it simple, move in I'll start my lease on January 1st, move in, you know, 2nd or the 3rd, start the new year off in a new place. And then I don't have to prorate like a week's of rent before that. So it's just, yeah, basically moving in 2023. The January 1st will be when my lease starts, most likely. So it's just, it's awesome to have that off my mind and to have just a dope place waiting for me in Cleveland. There's the Jimmy John's Miata again. He's coming back. Well, that's a good way to end this series. I started Breakfast with Bev with a little confused, a little overwhelmed, and I'm ending with extra clarity, better routine, and an apartment signed as of, you know, well, not signed, but an apartment reserved as of today, basically. So I think that's a fitting end for the series. It feels strange, even though I mean, it's really not a big thing at all. It's only a month-long project, but, you know, doing something every day really, it's going to be weird tomorrow. I suppose there's no reason that I couldn't do one tomorrow. And maybe I don't think I will, but even if there's no Breakfast with Bev tomorrow, there might still be a video. More of a change of format than a change in routine. So I will see you tomorrow. With or without George. He's going to be chilling inside. George, do you have anything to say before we go? No. Nice, not a man of many words. Did George talk in the old show? I don't think he ever talked, did he? The man in the yellow hat did all the talking. Anyway, that's it. But, possibly, I will see you tomorrow. The last sip from the mug. Breakfast with Bev. That's it. now the Breakfast with Bev filing cabinet has a new home. Maybe I'll paint it someday, but for now I'll keep it this color. I like it.